We are back here for the Phillies pregame show. The Mets took game one yesterday, 6-2, a complete collapse for the Phillies and their bullpen. But looking to turn the tides today, it's Luis Severino on the mound for the Mets, who we'll get into in a little bit because the Phillies do have a good history against him. Going up against Christopher Sanchez. He gets the game to start today. 11-9, a 3.32 ERA. So lots to talk about. Again, we're having our friends over at All Philly all the time join us for both pre and post game shows. So I want to thank you boys again for joining and doing this. It's been so much fun just yesterday. So it's only going to get better. So I want to hear, what are your thoughts on today's game?
Well, obviously they have to win. If the Phillies lose this one, that's it. You can't lose two in Philly and expect to come back and win this series. So it's a must-win game. It's super stressful. I think we're all feeling much less excited than when we were here 24 hours ago. Like, yeah, NLDS. Now we're like, this could go horribly wrong. So it's going to be a really stressful game today, especially if the Phillies don't start hitting immediately. We're going to be like, oh, here we go. We're done. They can't hit. So a very stressful game.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pressure riding on this game. You had everything in your favor last night. You had Wheeler pitch an incredible 7 innings. You were in Philly, back in the NLDS, and you blew it. The offense wasn't swinging at all. And so I think going into it tonight, you just have to get those bats moving, really. I think that's ultimately the big thing here. Got to win this one, because if you don't win this one, I mean, it's pretty much all but over.
Because then you have to go and win 2 in Citi Field, and you're going to go up against Sean Manaea, who's been really good this season. And then you're probably going to have to face Senga and Peterson, McGill again. So I do agree with you guys. It is a must-win. Mets lineup today, only one minor move. They're starting Harrison Bader today in center field. He's batting 9th. Lineup looks all pretty much the same. JD Martinez, Starling Marte. Francisco Alvarez is back in there after getting pinch ran for yesterday. Looking at the numbers against Sanchez, Bader's 2 for 6. Nimmo's 4 for 13. Iglesias is 3 for 6. So Mets do have some good history against Sanchez. But for the Phillies, you see the headline of this video. It's called Topper Isn't Messing Around. It's because Rob Thompson has benched Alec Bohm. Bohm has been hitting 170 for the past month, and Thompson said he wanted energy in the lineup, so they bring in Edmundo Sosa. I'm very shocked about this. I'm all for it, but I'm very shocked by this. What about you guys?
Definitely shocked. Alec Bohm's really been struggling, and Sosa has been playing well. So if Sosa comes into this game and has a big hit, a big moment of any kind, then we'll look back at it and be like, yeah, brilliant move, Topper, nailed it. But Sosa has to have a big moment in this game for us to think that it was a good move. And he's definitely done it before. The first, my favorite Edmundo Sosa moment is from the wild card series in 2022, where against the Cardinals in that 9th inning, he slides in, barely gets his hand past Yadier Molina. Yeah. Just a beautiful slide. So we've seen him provide a spark like that before. So it's not a terrible move. It's definitely risky, because if he doesn't play well, then there's going to be questions. Yeah. But we've absolutely seen him provide a spark before.
Yeah, I think that I was shocked by this. Alec Bohm is such a big part of the Philly energy and that Philly atmosphere, that pulling him in this situation was kind of, shocking to me. But I think I like it. I think Rob knows what he's doing, and I think he made a good move with this. But with that being said, I do think Sosa is going to be on a short leash. I think if we're in the 7th inning, 8th inning, and we need to get something going, I see a world in which we do put Bohm back in that lineup if Sosa hasn't done anything in those first couple at-bats, and you just don't see a lot from him. I think Rob's just out there to do whatever he can do to keep things moving around and to get that Philly lineup hitting however he can do that. And if that means, switching Sosa and Bohm mid-game because Sosa's not playing well, even though Bohm hasn't been hitting well either, maybe just that change up in the lineup right there can do a lot for that Phillies lineup to get them swinging the bat.
and you look at next game. I know obviously worried about game 2, but you always kind of have to look ahead. Game 3, Sean Manaea, the lefty on the mound. So I thought maybe Bryson Stott would maybe be out of the lineup today, but obviously will probably not be in the lineup on Tuesday against the Mets because of the lefty. I would assume Austin Hayes and Sosa will be in as well. But I am pretty shocked that Austin Hayes is not in today. I mentioned it yesterday. I thought that he would be in over Rojas, but I guess with Christopher Sanchez on the mound today, they're expecting more fielding, more defense. So keeping Rojas there in center field, Marsh still in left field. But going to our keys to the game. Owen, I think you're a little bit clear with your message. You said the Phillies just need to hit.
Yes, that we saw last game. Even if your starting pitcher does, Zach Wheeler literally could not have done better. You can't ask for more from your starting pitcher, and they didn't hit. And then the Mets come back, and you have to score, especially this team, because that's how they're built. Christopher Sanchez has been so solid all year. He's not Zach Wheeler. He's probably going to go 6 innings, give up 2 to 3 runs. That's a standard Christopher Sanchez outing. So they're going to have to score. For us to feel comfortable, they'll have to be up by 3 to 5 runs going into the 8th, because otherwise we won't feel safe anyway. But they're going to have to hit. I really liked your point about like the short leashes with Sosa. I would say Rojas probably also will have a short leash. Yep. If he's not hitting, get Hayes in there, Weston Wilson. Like the bats are going to have to get going. And a lot of times managers will manage game 7 with their pitching staff very aggressively. It's like all hands on deck. This is the last game. Topper probably should, again, to your point, I think he should manage the lineup like it's a game 7. Like we need to hit. So all hands on deck. Anybody who can get a hit will throw you in the lineup.
And then Luke, on the other side, the Phillies bullpen, who kind of lost the game for the Phillies yesterday, but talk about your thoughts on them today.
Yeah, I mean, it was really unfortunate how deep we had to go into our bullpen yesterday, with it being a bullpen game for the Mets, thinking that they're using a lot of their bullpen guys, and us having Wheeler go a near perfect 7 innings. And then we have to, dig deep into that bullpen after. We were hoping to just go Hoffman in the 8th and maybe Strahm in the 9th or whatever you look at, then having to go even deeper, go to Banks, and Hoffman threw way too many pitches. Strahm even threw a decent amount. You're looking to tonight now where you have a Christopher Sanchez who hopefully we can get him to go 6 innings. But if the Mets are rocking Sanchez, he's going to be out of there in the 4th, maybe 5th inning if they're hitting super well off of him. Because again, short leashes. I don't think Sanchez is on the mound if he's getting hit a lot. So you got to go back to that bullpen. And I think we're going to see Alvarado and Estevez out there tonight, but you're not going to see them pitch more than an inning. And so you got to think, if you pull Sanchez in that 4th or 5th inning, do you put Ranger in there to go 2 innings? Because Ranger's your guy in the bullpen who's going to be able to go longer than just an inning, hopefully. Now, it's a bit shaky towards the end of the season, but if you need a guy who can go 2 innings, he's your guy. Because, again, our only other guys to pitch tonight, Alvarado, Estevez, though they didn't pitch last night, maybe Strahm, depending on how he's feeling today. And, again, Banks didn't throw a ton last night. He honestly threw the best of Strahm and Hoffman, but he's probably our least trusted bullpen guy. So you got to weigh these options. And I know Rob's going to be weighing these options as he's looking at the pitching staff tonight, especially based on how Sanchez's outing goes.
And I'm glad you mentioned Ranger Suarez, because that was going to be my next question is, do you think we could see him? And I think we are at some point. I think he's going to be, if Sanchez leaves early, they could be saving him for maybe game 3 if Nola sort of struggles on the road. But agree with all you're saying. I would 100% expect to see Estevez tonight, whether it's a save situation or not. I think they want to just get him in there, just to have him in there. Because, you had Hoffman, Strahm, Kerkering, and Banks yesterday. So tonight, Alvarado, Estevez. So we'll see about that. But my key is Christopher Sanchez. There is a reason that he got the game 2 start. A lot of us thought that it was probably going to be Nola, just because that's what traditionally Rob has done, is Wheeler game 1 and then Nola game 2. But Chris Sanchez, and this is a stat from John Clark, The Phillies, after a loss this year, they've won 9 of 13 starts that Sanchez has made. The Phillies have won 13 of the 17 starts Sanchez has made at home this year. And he has a 2.21 ERA at home this year. That's the third best in Phillies history in Citizens Bank Park, behind Cliff Lee and Roy Halladay. So this guy shows up at home. He always pitches his best. And that was my big argument as to why he should have gotten the start today, is because he is so much better at home. So I think if he puts on another, we saw it yesterday. You throw a gem, but your offense and your bullpen don't give you any help. So I think Sanchez, if he has a solid game, I don't see any reason that the Phillies should not win behind all of that momentum.
I love John Clark. What a great set of stats. That made me feel, I'm obviously not feeling great going into this game. That made me feel a lot better,
gives you
John.
hope.
So thank you.
It gives you hope, and we need that right now. We need that energy and that
Take
hope.
anything we can get.
Yeah. Oh, man. But speaking of taking what we get, let's see what we cooked up today for the HRS / All Philly All the Time Triple Plays of the Day. Let's see what All Philly All the Time has got cooked today. Phillies -1.5 plus 142. I like that.
Yeah, I think that's a good line. I think that if the Phillies win today, it means the bats are going. And if the bats are going, we're going to score a lot of runs. I don't think it's going to be we're kind of hitting, we squeak out the game by a run, maybe close to the end of the game. No, I think we're either the bats are going to be cold, which is not what we want to see. But what we want to see is the bats moving. And if the bats are moving, I think we're going to win this game by a lot. I think this is a 3-4 run win if the bats are moving like they should be.
And then Bryce Harper for a home run. We think that he'll either, if Bryce Harper does get a home run, it's either going to kickstart the offense. It's like the first runs of the game. Bryce Harper gets us on the board, or it's towards the end of the game, like Bryce Harper nailing the coffin home run puts the game away. And either of those options, the crowd is going to go nuts for any Bryce Harper home run. So really hoping for that one. And then Luis Severino, we played it safe, 4+ strikeouts. He's been really good in the second half of the year. Phillies are striking out at a pretty high rate. So if he doesn't get 4, that means we really get to him.
Yeah.
And I realize, because it's probably going to hit, but if it doesn't, we jinx them. And that is all that matters, is the jinx. I really like those. I could see Harper coming out. Had that interview yesterday where he's like, this offense needs to turn the switch. And Bryce Harper always shows up when it matters most. So I could see him 100%. If there's anybody I trust to get this offense rolling, it's Bryce Harper. But mine today, I do have Sanchez over 4.5 strikeouts at -125. The biggest start of his career up to this point. You read the stats of how good he was at home. When you look in his recent games, it's been a little inconsistent. 7-4, 7-7-4. So he's anywhere from he could get 8, but he's probably like a 4 to 7 guy. So anywhere in between that, I do think that he's going to get 5 to 6 tonight. So the line at 4.5, I do like. Sosa to get 2+ total bases at +245. It's a statement game for him. I feel like if he really shows out this game, he has a legitimate shot at being a full-time starter, not just a platoon guy, whether that's over Alec Boehm, whether that's over Bryson Stott. I do think that Edmundo Sosa is going to have a good game tonight. Never faced Severino in his career, but I do think that he's going to do something tonight, and I feel like a nice double. That would hit. So, and then Nick Castellanos, 1 RBI, +145, another guy that's due. He's batting .333, 7 for 21 against Severino in his career. So I think he's also going to do something. Maybe I'm a little delusional for thinking the Phillies offense is going to be at least better than last night. We got to be
a high bar.
It
is.
Yeah.
But David says the Mets will win again today. don't like that comment, David. I hope you are wrong on that. But and the
Totally
Phillies need to be better. They need to be better at just about everything except for starting pitching. But the birthday bonus bet of the day, Bryson Stott. 0 for yesterday, but today's his birthday. I think he might be the only if he hits a home run today, he would be the only person to hit a home run on his birthday in the playoffs twice. Because I know Harper's done it and Stott did it. I think it was the Marlins game. Maybe I could be wrong on that, but I think Bryson Stott has hit a homer on his birthday in the postseason. I did just see a tweet on that not too long ago, but I do like this. I think we are going to hit this one. Again, go to Windale, use that code HEAT, get the scratch and save. You get 12 months for the price of 6. You never know. So head on over to Windale now. The rest of the playoffs, mentioned this yesterday. Guardians beat the Tigers 7-0. All the games were played yesterday, but now it's every other day with the National Leagues playing today. And then the American League will be tomorrow and so on and so forth. But Yankees, this game was going on while we were doing the post game. They held on to the win against the Royals. A very good game. So 6-5 victory. What do you guys think about the Yankees?
I don't know how I feel for either team. The fact that you play game one and then you get a day off immediately, like, does that help the winning team more because the losing team has to sit with like, we almost had that one, we lost it, or the Tigers where they're like, oh, we just got demolished. Like, is it better for the losing team to have time to regroup, or do they like have more time to dwell on losing? Like, I don't know who that benefits more. But yeah, this game was such a good game. A couple controversial calls. Unfortunate that Jazz Chisholm was the one to score the go-ahead run. I don't think any Phillies fans are the biggest fans of Jazz Chisholm, but he played well. So yeah, really proud of the Royals for hanging with the Yankees. Like that type of game is the game that the Royals need to play if they're going to beat the Yankees. They need home runs. They got a home run from Melendez. And they just couldn't quite close it out. But I was really impressed with how the Royals fought and hung in there.
Yeah, I think both teams played a good game, and I didn't actually get to watch the game, which I was disappointed. I tried to watch some of it, but yeah, I think the Yankees are a really good team, and I think the Royals showed in that outing yesterday that they're going to contend for this title. I don't think that there's just going to be a blowout series by the Yankees. I think it's going to be a close series through and through.
And I keep saying it. The only two teams I see coming out of the American League are either the Yankees or the Royals. And the Royals aren't the greatest road team. They're 41-40, but they showed that they're in it. It's not going to be a cakewalk for the Yankees. And this was a game. They lost by 1. Bobby Witt was 0 for 5. So you're getting production from everyone else in your lineup minus your two best players, arguably, with Witt and Pasquantino. They're both 0 for 5. But they're in it, and they have a legit chance because you still have one more game in New York, and then you get to go back to Kansas City for potentially 2 games. So do really like the Royals' chances. And Yankees, Giancarlo Stanton almost cost them the game with his snailish legs. So it didn't really matter. Gleyber Torres, 2 RBIs. Austin Wells, 2 RBIs. Alex Verdugo got the go-ahead RBI in, I believe it was the 7th. Yeah, 7th inning. In the Yankees bullpen, which was the biggest concern, they came through. Clay Holmes pitched almost 2 innings. He looked really good. So scary hours there in New York, but it's far from over. But Padres-Dodgers, they're playing tonight. Dodgers leading the series 1-0. Shohei Ohtani, of course, gets his first playoff home run in his first at-bat. So what are your thoughts on Ohtani, Dodgers, and where do you see this series going from here?
That Ohtani home run was electric. Another really great game, which is awesome because that's what we expected from this series. So I'm glad we got a really good game out of that one also. Padres lost by 2, but it came down to Manny Machado being up with 2 runners on. So just a great finish to that game, even though the Padres didn't come back. In their matchup in 2022, the Dodgers did win game 1, and then the Padres won that series. So they're definitely not safe. quite yet, but the Padres are in a similar spot to the Phillies where it's like you can't go down 2-0. So there's a lot of pressure on them in this game to tie it up.
Yeah, another great matchup there. Another series I think we're going to see be a hard-fought series between both teams. You know, the Padres went up early in that game, and whether they got complacent in that lead or not, I don't know. But with this Dodgers lineup, I mean, you see Shohei tie it up with one swing of the bat, and I don't think that, you know, either of these teams can get complacent in a lead because these two lineups are powerhouse lineups, and in the matter of one pitch, one swing, the game could, you know, completely flip around. So I think that this is going to be a fun series to watch till the very end. And yeah, I think it all rides on the Padres winning tonight. I think if they win tonight, they're going to make it go to all 5 games.
I could definitely see that just because the Dodgers, historically, not the best playoff team in recent memory. And I mean, Padres traded Juan Soto, and they are battling in the divisional series with the Dodgers. So pretty awesome stuff from them. Clayton Kershaw was shut down. Abby is checking in. She's trying to bark to get in here, but I don't feel like letting her in right now. But Clayton Kershaw was shut down for the rest of the playoffs. He's 40 years old now? 41? Is this the end of Clayton Kershaw?
I hope not. It'd be really sad if
I
it
don't
is.
know, man. I mean, you know his playoff record.
Yeah, that's not great.
He's not known to be the best playoff pitcher, but I guess we'll have to, you know, wait and see what the rest of, like, if we see him back in action in the regular season next year, and what that holds. If it's going to be a situation almost like a Verlander-esque situation, but
where Verlander has not
exactly
not looked great.
Exactly. So
yeah, it would be really sad if that's how Clayton Kershaw does end up going out, where it's just like breaking news, Clayton Kershaw shut down for the season, and then that ends up being it. Yeah. Because he's had such an amazing career. Love watching him pitch against anyone except the Phillies. So yeah, just I've always been a big fan of Clayton Kershaw's.
Yeah.
So I really hope he's able to at least come back one more year and finish in a stronger fashion. But unfortunately in sports, it doesn't always work out like that.
One of the most dominant pitchers I know we've ever seen in our lifetimes. I know it's probably like him, Verlander, Scherzer, and DeGrom are top 4. And you could put any of those guys at 1, and I would not fault you at all. But it would be a shame if it was the end of Kershaw, but he hasn't been the same. He's constantly injured. I think if the Dodgers will take him back, because I can't see him playing anywhere else, but I could also see if he still wants to play in the Dodgers are like, hey, we want to find someone who's, you know, a bit more available.
We have enough injured pitchers. We don't need another.
Yeah. He's been linked to the Rangers for years, so that wouldn't shock me, especially if Max Scherzer is moved and they have a lot of cap opened up there. But yeah, could be the end of Clayton Kershaw. But NFL Week 5 going on right now. Eagles are on a bye, so we don't have to stress about that this week. Looking at the games, Jags are up 13-10 right now on the Colts. That is pretty much the only upset that's happening right now. Patriots are up 7-3 on the Dolphins. Dolphins offense looks awful. Devon A-Chain's out for the rest of the game with a concussion. So yeah, any thoughts on Week 5 so far?
Yeah, Luke and I are playing each other in fantasy this week, so big week for us. But I think the Jaguars, my note of the game also, I think the Jaguars are winning because they debuted their throwback Prowler jerseys. I think that's what's doing it for them. So that's my big takeaway.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the scores going through this week, everything kind of looks like it's playing out as it should in terms of favorites and stuff. Texans over the Bills, slightly shocking, 14-3 right now. I don't know who's favored in that game, but yeah, I mean, the Bills have been looking pretty good the past couple weeks, so I don't know how Josh Allen's doing in that game, but yeah, I mean, obviously you got a strong team behind CJ Stroud there with the Texans, and so I think it's, you know, not super shocking that they're beating the Bills because they've got a pretty star-studded team there.
And in that New England game, I have Ramondre Stevenson in the Full Sail League. And Gerard Mayo comes out and he's like, we're benching Ramadre. Antonio Gibson's going to be the starter for now. Right now, Antonio Gibson has 1 carry. Ramadre has 6 carries, 49 yards, and a touchdown, all on my bench. So thank you, Gerard Mayo, for scaring me into putting him on my bench. I did start Michael Pittman, though. He has a touchdown. Commanders are crushing the Browns. The Browns look awful.
The Commanders are so good.
The Commanders,
what's the deal with them?
The way the Cowboys and the Eagles have been playing, I would hate to see the Commanders win the East, but
it's Jaden Daniels is 8 for 17, 107 yards, no touchdowns,
and they're still doing this.
Yeah,
it's not even close. Was it defense? Like
crazy. Brian Robinson has 2 rushing touchdowns, so the defense hasn't scored touchdowns. I don't know if they're just putting the Browns in bad spots. The Commanders, because Jaden Daniels, you would think has been the reason, the Bengals game where he's amazing, but the fact that they're doing this with that performance from Jaden Daniels, I'm more scared of them now, even though Daniels is not playing well.
Yeah,
I think that if the Eagles come out next week and they lose to the Browns, because the Browns have looked like the worst team in the league besides the Jaguars so far. Watson looks terrible at defense for some reason. They don't look terrible, but they just don't look as good as they should be. If you come out of your bye week at home and you lose to that team, I think there needs to be a coaching change. I really do, especially the way these first 4 games have gone. If you come out and you make those same mistakes again and you lose to a Cleveland team, I think that should be it. Am I crazy for saying that?
No, I don't think so. I think that's pretty much where it's at. And so with that, I understand that you are on the coaching change bandwagon. Do you still have full faith in Jalen Hurts?
Not 100%, because as much as I would love to blame this all on the coaching, Jalen Hurts has made some pretty awful plays. It looks like his not necessarily his athleticism, but his skills throwing wise and running wise, they don't look as good as even last year. I think they may have ran him to the ground last year, and he's still either recovering from every play last year was a QB draw up the middle.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they just ran him into the ground and it's irreversible, or it's just him getting adjusted still, but it's concerning because he's thrown a lot of red zone picks too, ton of turnovers, fumbles, interceptions all over the place. So I am concerned with Hurts, but I would keep Jalen Hurts over Nick Sirianni 10 days out of 10.
I agree with that entirely. Yep.
Yeah. But so going back to the Phillies before we get out of here, what are your final predictions for Game 2 of the NLDS today?
I'm in a tough spot here because if you follow All Philly all the time on socials, we clipped our series predictions, how we think that will shake out. And I said the Phillies would sweep. They clearly did not do that. And the Mets fans have been flooding in our comments, reminding us very happily that I was very wrong about that. So who knows if I'll clip this, but I think that with all the pressure at home, the Phillies have to win this game. They'll somehow figure out a way. I think it's Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, the top 3 guys in the lineup. I think that 1 or 2 of them figures out a way, gets it done, gets some big hit, has a big game. One of those top 3 guys, Schwarber, Turner, Harper, has a moment, gets the Phillies through to this game that they have to win. And then Game 3 will basically decide the series if the Phillies win this. So that'll be crazy. But I think the Phillies win it, and the final score is 6-3. The Mets give us a little run at the end, like they always do.
Yeah.
But I think 6-3 Phillies, they get a win. We feel happy enough, but not satisfied.
Yep. I agree. I think as a faithful Phillies fan, we get the bats moving in this game, and I think it starts with Harper. I think there's a cascade effect of how these bats are going to move. I think, we're going to come out early in the first inning, and I think Harper's going to do something. Maybe we get a Turner walk, a Schwarber walk, one of them gets on base, but I think Harper's going to do something, and that energy is just going to cascade down through the lineup, and I think we're just going to start hitting. And I think we're going to take this game. I think we're going to win it I'll give the Mets 4. I think we're going to win this 7-4. I think they're going to hit Sanchez a little bit, not too much, but I think that, like Owen said, they're going to come out in their 8th, 9th game hitting, or 8th and 9th inning hitting. And yeah, I think they're going to try and do a Met comeback and just not be able to pull it off this time.
I'm going 5-4 Phillies. And I think they're going to have the come from behind victory. I think that the Phillies are going to go down early. Sanchez is going to give up 2 runs. That's my prediction. And then the bullpen is going to give up another 2 runs. I'm projecting the Mets to be up by multiple runs, and the Phillies it's going to be a reverse of yesterday's game where you think the offense is dead, and then they just turn it up in the middle of the game. I think someone from that bottom end of the lineup is going to have either the game-winning run or just the best game out of anybody. Stott, JT, Marsh, Sosa, Rojas. I think, like you said, Turner or Harper. I think it's definitely going to be a big statement game from Bryce Harper, but I think that X factor is someone in the bottom of the lineup. So you guys, we're all on a Phillies win, so hopefully we get that right this time because we did not get that.
Tyler,
right.
Are you calling for a walk-off win here for the Phillies?
Has there ever been, like, since the last walk-off in the playoffs I can remember for the Phillies at home was the Jimmy Rollins in 2009. Was that the last?
Yeah, against the Dodgers.
Yeah.
I think that's the last one.
It's my knowledge.
There was one in between that, but we got Yuki Matsui checking in. What's going on, man? Matsui did a pregame show a couple weeks ago. Matsui called it was one of the games where Bohm hit a home run, and then he said like 2 or 3 other bets in the comments that hit. So Matsui pretty good better. At least that day he was. So he could be the worst better of all time. We didn't know because he showed out on that one time. But I mean, that's a game of betting. Sometimes you can't win them all. But post game, we'll be live here 10 minutes after the final out. It's going to be an interesting game. I think it'll be close, gritty, hard fought. There's going to be blood. I'm just kidding. There's not going to be blood. But I think it's going to be a tough game for both teams. Mets are still playing in Philly. I know they've lost 3 in a row at home, but you're still playing in that environment, that atmosphere, the vibes. Maybe not the highest right now, but it's 4:00 on a Sunday. People have probably been drinking for 12 hours, so fans are probably going to be extra rowdy.
Probably since last night.
Yeah.
Probably. It wouldn't surprise me. I really would not be surprised if there was a guy that slept somewhere overnight. I wonder if they're frying the gator because they did that for the Eagles game. For the Saints game, they're frying
whatever works.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I think the Phillies need something though. Like the Mets have all these like cringe memes and the freaking pumpkin, whatever that is. I think the Phillies need something. I don't know what it is. You don't have dancing on your own this year. Dancing on my own. They just don't have something yet. And I feel like every good playoff team that makes it that far, they have to have something. So I think the Phillies need to. What do you got? Was it like a bamboo plant, like Brad Miller? Or
that's exactly what I was gonna say.
I feel like you can't go back to something you've had though. You got to find your
it's gotta be new.
You got to find your new thing that's unique to this year, and what that is, I don't know.
Yeah.
Does Harper wear something weird to the game? Or no, it's honestly probably Stubbs. Stubbs is gonna wear something weird to the game.
Leave it to Stubbs.
And I think honestly, I think we can't think of it, but I think Stubby's got that.
Because it was the overalls last year. Was that last year too? Or was it the last 2 years?
He wears overalls every year.
I think the overalls and Dancing on My Own have been like just a playoffs thing. So, I don't know. Maybe you put a twist on the overalls somehow. I don't know. Whatever works. Try some stuff. It can't really go wrong. Just see if something clicks, I guess.
Something fanatic based, like a fanatic hat where it's sitting on their hat. Something like that, maybe.
Everyone wears the Harper fanatic cleats. The whole team.
That would be kind of fire.
That'd be crazy.
That would get the chemistry off the charts. But we're going to wrap it up here. I want to thank you all for tuning in for this edition of the Phillies pregame show here on Heat Ratio Sports. Make sure you're liking, commenting, subscribing, pressing that notification bell. You get notified as soon as we go live. Make sure you're following All Philly all the time on all social platforms. You get to check out the Mets fans barraging their comment section, asking for updates and all that nonsense. But see you all 10 minutes after the final out. Go Phillies. And yeah, stay fresh. We will see you 10 minutes after the final out.